It's Channel Weird. I'm Clyde Lewis. On a Thanksgiving weekend, all loaded with tryptophan and caffeine, ready to get all weird on you today, for sure. It's a great day today because we have a great guest. Very excited for this guest. Apollo's Odyssey is it's a UFO uh, alien disclosure type of show. And I had a chance to meet this guest, Apolla Asteria. I met her in Cambria, but we've worked before on projects with Sean Paul, who is a commentator and a producer that I've worked with in the past, and she also has worked in that area. And so it's really awesome to have with us Apolla Asteria coming to us today. And we were kind of like shooting the bull here before we went on because there was so much we needed to talk about, so many hot topics we need to talk about. Well, Asteria, welcome to the show today. It's good to see you.
It's good to be here, Clyde, and thanks for having me on. I'm not in my regular studio in Hollywood. I'm actually visiting family for Thanksgiving in the Midwest right now, so it was cool to come on and join you for the holidays.
Yeah, I was
Hope
worried.
you had a good Thanksgiving.
I did. I had a great thing. I was thinking that you would be in LA, but no, you're now in the Midwest, so that's good. And you're right there in outer space, just exactly the way we like looking at you is in outer space.
Yeah, I got this studio together in my brother's bedroom last minute. I threw a Star Wars sheet up, and I'm like, okay,
That's
made a
awesome.
makeshift studio. It looks sweet.
It looks great. So let's talk about there's so many things to talk about. Okay, so you've been at this. You work with Third Phase of Moon. You've done a lot of things. I mean, you're an actress, of course, and gosh, there's so many things that we can cover here. But I want to talk about some of the things that have been going on in UFO world just for a while. First of all, NASA has gathered together information, or they're getting together to think of what are called the protocols for telling people that aliens exist, that extraterrestrials exist. And I did a show about that a while ago, and I don't think people believe me when I tell them that the Brookings report is not going to stick anymore. They can't hide it anymore. And I was just wondering what your thoughts are on how not only NASA, but the Pentagon has set up shop now looking into UFOs. And I think the tide is going to turn. What are your thoughts about the new year and what is that going to mean for disclosure?
I really feel that over the past couple years, disclosure has been really begun to roll out in a major way. And it's interesting because it was, as you were saying, I work with Third Phase of Moon. Right as I got on with them, all of this stuff started coming out with like the New York Times coming out with their article about releasing that basically the Pentagon has created this new task force that's where they're studying UFO reports and and they even released something about an archaeological dig of a UFO that's been uncovered and then retracted it. And it seems like there's a lot that's being put out and retracted, kind of in the same way as the Roswell incident. And I think it's really interesting because right now we have all this going on with disclosure, but then we also have a lot going on the other side of things and the technology advancements with the billionaire space race that's going on. And I think this is kind of hand in hand. I really feel that they've had these technologies for a long time. And, I think it's very likely that our government has been working with different ET races for a while because, I'm not saying that I think this is fact, but the ex-Prime Minister of Defense for Canada did say that the United States has been working with at least 3 ET races, and so did the person who runs the Space Department in Israel. I can't really remember what exactly that position was called, but he also claimed this. So I think it's really interesting. And like I said, I think these things really go hand in hand. I think the reason why they're deciding to disclose these things now, I think it has a lot to do with the technology aspect of things. I think there's different technologies that are going to be used in this commercial spacefaring technology that that probably came from crashed UFOs, backwards engineered craft. So I think that really the reason they're rolling this out right now is because they have to. Otherwise, they wouldn't have really decided to give this to the public. So it's really interesting to see this happen. And I feel that the the entire human race is going to go through a major paradigm shift when we come together and really start, having a spacefaring civilization. I think a lot of people don't understand what that means. This means that, they're going to have ships that can go from LA to New York in 17 minutes, or from New York to Europe in an hour. I mean, they already do have that, but it's more of like them rolling this out worldwide and it becoming a more publicly accessible thing where every citizen can go around the planet in the blink of an eye.
Right.
It's going to really change the way people see things and the way that people think of things. So I think this is interesting. And like I said, I really feel that it has to do with the technology aspect of it and disclosure kind of coming together. It's just they have to release this now because and also so many people in our community have been releasing so much for so long, or disclosing so much, that it's almost at the point where it's embarrassing for the government because they're going to look really bad that they're not disclosing this, and everyone in our community is already.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you figure out that, I've been reading a lot about what's been said at SETI and how they're looking for techno signatures. I mean, biosignatures would be awesome, but techno signatures are something that they're evaluating. And I remember they were even assessing whether or not the aliens we hear about, the Greys, I guess, are synthetic intelligence, basically saying that, we use robots and synthetic intelligence to go look into what's going on Mars. They probably use things like Bracewell probes and Sentinel probes, and they use these anthropomorphic looking creatures that are pretty much AI. And I would buy that, because it just seems to me that when they describe these alien beings, especially the Greys, they describe them as being, they have kind of like a biological component, but there's something about them that's robotic. There's something about them that seems like that they're artificially made. Of course, people talk about the skin texture. They talk about how they eliminate waste through their skin. They don't eat really, and they don't have genitalia. Let's face it, they don't have anything to reproduce. So would that make them? It'd probably something like a anthropomorphic homunculus or something like that are being sent out to observe us. And I think that the more we learn and the more we acclimate, I think the more, like you said, the governments are going to be embarrassed if they don't come forward pretty soon.
I agree with that 100%. You're breaking out a little here. My connection, I guess, isn't 100% right now.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, no, it's on my end. I guess being out here in the middle of the cornfields, it's kind of interesting. People are always like, "Oh, is there a connection with that? You being in the middle of the cornfields and crop circles, aliens?" That's where I'm from. It's pretty funny.
There's something in the cornfield, right? Something.
Yeah, children of the corn.
Exactly.
Crop circles. There's a connection there.
It's just, for as long as I've been talking about this, maybe 25 years, 27 years. And I see, people like you involved in others. And I'm seeing also, you're an actress, and now there are rock stars and singers and others that have been saying, and I knew this for a while, that a lot of their music and a lot of their influences are based primarily on the idea that they've had encounters. I mean, Sammy Hagar just said something about that. And I remember reading about how the Flock of Seagulls band, they said the same thing.
I was just going to say that song. What's that song called again?
Iran.
I found that out a while back, and I was like, no way. I had no idea that song was about that. And then when I looked at the lyrics, I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah, it's about an abduction. And you look at what Sammy Hagar, when he was with Van Halen, he wrote that song "Love Comes Walking In," and the first few lyrics are "Contact is all it takes," is the first words, talking about contact and being abducted. And he said he had an experience, I believe, in 1966 or 67. I'm not sure. But and several others. I can't remember the name of the one singer. She's popular recently that said that she had an abduction experience. And so a lot of people,
that was Demi Lovato.
Yeah, Demi
Lovato.
Her
abduction experience is actually almost exactly what I've been describing on my show and other shows for years and years. It wasn't an abduction experience, but a UFO experience. And I almost I almost feel that she heard me somewhere and copied off me or something, because I literally had the exact same experience, or maybe we just had the same experience. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of interesting.
What was your experience? What was your experience?
Okay, so I mean, I've had quite a few experiences, but this one was the wildest one overall. And so she explained almost the exact same thing. But I promise you, I've been sharing this on my show and several shows for years and years. But this was actually right before I went to the first contact in the desert I'd ever been to, 7 or 8 years ago, like maybe a half a year after I'd moved out to LA. And so I'm in the middle of the desert in Joshua Tree, and I was just talking to some people like later at night. The sun had like just set, so it was kind of at like a pre-dusk kind of time, and it was still like a little light, but not quite dark yet. And this glowing lime green ball of light that was like bright lime green, actually like if you're looking at the video right now, actually very much like this right here, almost exactly like this, like a greenish yellowish color, just came down from the sky. And there was actually a meteor shower going on at this time. So I'm facing these people and it's behind their back, and I'm about to be like, hey, look, guys, a meteor. And it comes in closer, and I realize it's this glowing lime green ball of light that's the size of a basketball or a beach ball. And it comes in and it stops about 20 feet away from me and hovers like right at eye line with me for like, you know, maybe like a split second, but it felt like it just came down, stopped, and it was like it saw that I saw it and it wanted me to know that it saw me, or that it had just come there just for me. I don't know.
Right.
But it just came down, stopped for a split second, and then it just shot forward and disappeared. And it was like I couldn't believe my eyes. I'm like, did I really just see this? I mean, I clearly just saw this. I know I saw this. And I mean, that just like really blew my mind for a long time, and I actually found that there's a lot of accounts of this happening in the desert in Joshua Tree, and the Hopi Native
Yeah.
Americans that live in this area called them nature spirits. So, and I guess like if you see different colors, they mean different things. So, but mine was this color, and I actually have like other experiences in my life where this color came to me in visions and dreams. So I think I have a connection with that. And it's
What color?
interesting because
What color is that? What color is that?
it's like a bright lime green,
Uh huh.
yellow kind
Yeah.
of color. Like I guess the color is like chartreuse. It's like a yellowish green. But
Sure.
Clifford Mahooty actually has experiences with this orb too, the exact color. And he told me that it's a connection with Archangel Raphael, who apparently he believes is an ascended master ET. I don't know. And I've actually had several people tell me that. So I'm like, I don't know if there's some connection there with that. I think maybe some of these beings, when they come through, they have to come through in this form because they can't come through in a physical form. But I also heard, like, after I started researching crop circles a lot, because I paint crop circles on my shaman spears, which I create, and the spears or the crop circles, there's actually been several accounts that in the UK, the crop circles are actually formed by these balls of light, which apparently are balls of plasma. So it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
But apparently, Demi Lovato had the same experience. She explained it almost to a T. So
Joshua Tree is a place. That's why contact in the desert. I mean, I've been to Joshua Tree and contact in the desert one time in the outdoors. It was a time when they converted it over to go to Indian Wells, and they were there in the hotel. I don't know. I prefer the hotel because I mean I was there, and no matter how much water I drank, I was too dehydrated to even move. But anyway, it's still an amazing experience to be out there in the middle of nowhere and know that it's just you. I mean, they were having UFO watches there. It was amazing what was turning up and how amazing it was to see this. Apolla Asteria is with us tonight, and we're glad to have her with us. We're going to come back, talk more about her acting career, her band, just a lot of things we can talk about today on Channel Weird. We'll be back with more. Don't go away. On the phone with me is Ronnie from getthetea.com. Hey, Ronnie, it is the tea that makes you go, I know this because I use it. My favorite is pomegranate. What kind of flavors are there to choose from with this wonderful tea?
You can do pomegranate. You can do just the straight, which is real good. And also we have a mint, a peppermint. People really love that one too. And we have a couple new flavors on the way, which I will not discuss yet, but they're coming.
You know, a lot of people don't know that peppermint is a very, very good supplement to keep the stomach happy. It relaxes the intestines, and once again, it makes you feel better because it allows them to move around and get that stuff out of you, that bad stuff out of you.
Absolutely. This is a digest mover. So people have a hard time digesting stuff, or you get something stuck, or maybe you're a real heavy meat eater. The tea is wonderful. That's why it's tagline, the tea that makes you go.
If I want my life to change and get the tea, where do I go to get it?
Getthetea.com. That's getthetea, TEA.com.
Fantastic. Guys, it's Clyde Lewis. Have you ever wanted Ground Zero merchandise but didn't know where to go? Well, I want to let you know that we now have our own online store with such items as t-shirts, hoodies, decals, tote bags, and other exclusive specialty apparel. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. Coming soon will be signed posters and coffee mugs available as we are constantly adding new items. So shop today at the official Ground Zero store by going to groundzeromerch.com. That's groundzeromerch.com. It's all over the news, food shortages and scarcity in the supply chain, and the reality is nobody truly knows what might happen in the near future. Hi, I'm Clyde Lewis, and I want to let you know that it's a good idea to plan ahead so you aren't caught off guard. Nothing's more important than having enough food to eat, and we're here to help. We highly recommend My Patriot Supply, America's leading emergency preparedness company. They provide long-term emergency food that lasts up to 25 years in storage. When grocery stores run empty or disasters strike, their foods will be there when you need them most. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. They have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from, along with a variety of other survival products. If the government tells you not to go out, you can have the peace of mind that comes from being prepared. After you order from My Patriot Supply, your food will arrive discreetly at your doorstep. Prepare today, because time is short. Go to preparewithgroundzero.com. That's preparewithgroundzero.com.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Apolla Asteria is with us today on Channel Weird. ApollaAsteria.com. And go there and check out things that she's involved with. So many things she's involved with. I had the pleasure of meeting Apolla when I was in Cambria. We had a get-together. I think it was the 4th of July weekend. It was a lot of fun. And you were saying we were talking about your UFO experience. We're talking about your when you saw something, and it's like, I was curious about how that influences your work, because people who have had experiences like this, esoteric experiences, they tend to be very creative people. They have one foot in the other world and one foot in this world. Can you explain what that's like? Because I know that you have so many things that you're doing, so many things that you've created and you're a part of, not just being an actress in your band 432 Hertz, which of course is what do they call that? The frequency where the mind heals, I guess, that's the kind of, if I remember correctly. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So how does that influence your choices in career and what you do?
Yeah, I feel that a lot of people who have these experiences, there's something to that. Usually people who have these kind of experiences, they've been happening their whole lives in different forms. I was actually raised by a lot of people in my family are very spiritually in tune. Like one of them is my uncle is a quantum touch energy healer, and actually a few of my uncles on one side are shamans. And so I was actually raised with a very interesting kind of background, and I actually used to be able to astral project when I was very young, just accidentally all the time without even trying. I would just leave my body and go hang out in these different places and come back. And I actually lost touch with that after a while as I grew older. But, I feel that a lot of people who have these experiences, a lot of people that are artists, are people who have, as you said, one foot in both worlds. And, that's definitely describes me and, the way I've lived my whole life. I think it's, artists, they have this ability to bring things through. And I actually read this book called The Wayseers by Garrett John Laporto. And it says that basically people who have artistic personality types, or people who are entrepreneurs, pioneers, people with that kind of personality type, tend to think mostly on alpha theta brainwave state, which is basically actually resonating more on the Shaman resonance and thinking more in images or wholes. And that's like about 20% of society. The other percent of society, like 80% of society, tends to think in more beta brainwave state primarily, and that's like a hyper focused kind of state where, which most schools, like normal schools, are geared towards that learn in that way, because it's kind of learn and being able to repeat it and just kind of being hyper focused all the time. Whereas someone who's in primarily alpha theta brainwave state, they think in visions and wholes, and really what's happening is they're getting these downloads from the collective consciousness that are coming through, and they're bringing that through because it's, all about the visions with this kind of type. Right. So, that's something that my whole life, I could only ever really be an artist. Like if someone told me once, like if all you can do is be an artist, that's the only thing that you feel like you can be, then you're an artist. And, it's so true. It's like, I can't see myself working in like an office setting or anything like that. For me, it's like, it's only about the arts. And, I'm actually, I make shaman spears, these crystal spears for channeling energy. I started that about 5 years ago, but I actually started the entertainment industry when I was only 12 years old. I started modeling and acting school. I picked up the guitar, and I picked up modeling and acting with a local agency in Chicago around this same age. And, I was in different bands all growing up. I started modeling and acting at an early age. And, for me, it's just really about bringing this frequency forward. A lot of people tell me that, who I am and the kind of frequency I hold is really breaking molds. And I'm not saying this to like, prop myself up or anything. Like, it's actually been hard to deal with throughout my life. I just felt like a huge weirdo being here in the Midwest growing up, as most people out here are factory workers, and I'm just like this crazy, artistic person. And it's like, it's weird, it's weird to have that kind of life. And I had to go to LA to be around people that I felt were more like me, I guess, more into the arts, so that I could step my foot in the door with that. But, I always had this background of also being very interested in ancient civilizations, forbidden archaeology and these ancient technologies, and healing modalities, energy healing modalities, and the UFO side of things. I was really into Ancient Aliens before Ancient Aliens was even a show on TV. And that was something that I had a huge background with reading, and then it was on the other side with art. So I always wanted to find a way where I could really bring both these aspects of myself together. And that's why I started speaking at conferences about 5 years ago. And I always wanted to have my own show on all this. And I really didn't really start that till around this time last year. And it's been really fun. It's something that I always want to do. I always want to bring these different aspects together. But I like my way of showing this through my work is especially with my shaman spears. I make these handcrafted crystal spears for channeling energy, and this is actually an
No,
earlier one I
I wanted
made.
to talk about the shaman spears because it's something that I think is fascinating. In fact, my producer Ron was saying he wanted to get himself one. Tell us about the shaman spears and what they are. And I also want to get into the quantum touch as well. Okay, there you go, a shaman spear. That looks great. Okay, so tell me about what a shaman spear is and why they the energy they possess.
So this is actually a much older version. It's one of my first versions I gave to my brother, but you can just go to shamanspears.com to look at my newer ones. But so basically the story behind this is so basically they're a mix between wands and spears. They're for amplifying your energy. They're all made of bamboo that I collect myself in Topanga Canyon, which is a very interesting energy vortex in that area in California. And I put naturally magnetic hematite sand, magnets, and organite materials and sand I collect from sacred places around the world down the insides because the bamboo is hollow. So basically, and then quartz all down the insides too. So basically, this is a way of amplifying energy. And I'm a quantum touch or I was raised as a quantum touch energy worker, like I said. I've learned other modalities throughout my life since then, and now I kind of focus my energy in different ways. I don't necessarily follow any particular modality anymore. But with quantum touch, growing up, I always learned that a technique of pulling your energy up and then pushing it down through your hands and channeling the energy out of your hands. And basically what you're doing is like you're channeling like chi or life force energy. You're connecting with the energy of the cosmos and pulling it down and pulling it out your hands. So if you hold one of these while you're doing that, then it really amplifies the energy. And it is really actually. And I've been doing this for 5 years, but it's really interesting. The way I'm doing it was I was in a studio session with a rapper friend of mine and some rapper friends of mine. I was just sitting in their session in this home I used to live in LA. And they were like, one of them came in, he was like, "Hey, Apolla, I'm creating a comic book and I really want to have a picture of you to use as reference for a character. I want to do a character of you where you're like this like warrior goddess, like comic character." So I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a weapon. I don't know what you want me to do. And I had just collected all this bamboo from Topanga Canyon, and I had a pointy, like a rose quartz obelisk. And while they were in the middle of their session, I just started putting this together and adding more and more to it. And as the night went on, it just ended up being this really amazing thing, which ended up being an earlier prototype of these. And this is an earlier prototype too. This is an older one that I made. But they've really progressed over the years, and I actually paint crop circles that have been found around the world on them because I feel that the quartz and the magnets in them, it kind of is a way of like amplifying those messages. And I actually charge them all onto an energetic collective. So this is actually a technique through the Quantum Touch program where you can, through the idea of quantum entanglement, basically, you can charge any two objects onto an energetic collective. So I charge all my spears onto an energetic collective, and every new spear I make makes the whole collective stronger. Every person who has their own spear and charges their own spear charges the whole collective. And I've probably sold like hundreds by this point, literally hundreds. I think I make like a whole batch of like around 30 or 40 new spears every season.
So how do you
Usually
charge them? How do you charge them again? Because I'm very curious about the charging because of course people know that they can charge sigils. Sometimes they charge runes. They are able to and like you I've seen on the spear you have a crystal. I guess it's an obelisk that's very powerful as well. So this looks like a very powerful tool. And I was just curious, how can people use this tool to enhance their lives? I mean, because obviously you've thought to put a lot of power behind this. So how are you charging them, first of all? And second of all, how is this going to, if people buy them, which it looks like that, they're very intricate and very well produced. If they buy them, how it'll change their lives?
It's really interesting. I actually, like I said, I charge them all into an energetic collective, and through the idea of quantum entanglement, basically with the idea of quantum entanglement, is any two objects can be related on the same energetic field. So if you take that and basically it's kind of through a visualization and charging technique. Every time I make a new collection, I have one spear that charges everything that I have ever made. So I use that spear and I charge them all onto this collective. And I actually use that spear to charge a new one, which I actually switched over to that I'm using now. But like I said, it's like a visualization kind of energy channeling technique. But so every time I finish a new collection, I'll charge them all at once. And I actually have a new spear that I'm using to charge the whole collective now that was imprinted by the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull, which I met recently in Mount Shasta. And then the skull actually imprinted on that spear. So now I'm using that one to charge all my collections. And it's interesting because the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull is basically bringing forward this message of being in touch with your true authentic self, and it brings forward this love frequency. And I actually had him on my show recently, the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull caretaker, and he really talked about all this and it was very fascinating. But I think that definitely adds a whole nother level to these. But so what I do with them, like I've had many healers buy these off me and use them for their practices, and they say they work wonders. But honestly, my personal way of using them is I go hiking with them. I take them everywhere on any adventure I go to around the world. I've taken them to Machu Picchu with me and everything. And, I'll take the smaller ones that fit my suitcase, but I have like some that are like staff size, like Merlin staff size. And usually I like to take the ones that are more mid staff size that are probably around 3 feet long. I'll take those hiking with me. And I think the magnetics in it, because so it's interesting. I started putting hematite down on the insides of these, and right started doing, just naturally magnetic. As soon as I started doing that, I found out that scientists actually started coming out with these articles saying that they discovered that hematite is actually found in our brains. There's like residual like hematite in our brains. So apparently that's what allows us to be interconnected telepathically and magnetically, and I think probably telepathically as well. And so it's really interesting because obviously, I mean, without even explaining, that's the science right there. If you're holding one of these, the magnetics in you are interfering and connecting with the magnetics of the spear you're holding. And with the quartz in it, obviously quartz is used in transistor radios, it's used to store data. Quartz is a very fascinating material, and I actually get the quartz that I use in all my spears from Crystal Hill and right next to Giant Rock in Joshua Tree, which is a very fascinating location because the Hopi Native American, it was only the chief shamans from the tribe that were allowed to go there. It was considered so sacred to them. So I always collect my quartz from there, and I put all these on the insides of the spears. And I really feel that hiking with them is a way of really interconnecting, or just kind of, I guess, like working with your own energy and interfacing with your own energy, and kind of, I don't know, almost like a meditative way of working through things. And I'm doing it constantly all the time, and it just feels really awesome too. And that's part of the reason why I started making these. I'm like, at the time I was reading the Iliad and the Odyssey, and I was feeling really inspired by it. And I'm like, why do people not carry around staves or spears anymore? Like, that used to be such a thing. And I mean, obviously spears, that probably was a little dangerous, but carrying around staves, like, that used to be a very common thing that people used to do. And I just think it's really awesome, and it feels great. So
well, I mean, I can't help but think to myself, you look through some very important, I guess, prominent people in history that carried staffs with them. Moses comes to mind, a few other people. It's definitely a sign of prophetship, or the idea of being in tune with what is beyond and able to use that power to help others. And so Apolla Asteria is with us today on Channel Weird, and we'll be back with more to find out other things that she's involved with, some amazing things right here on Channel Weird. We'll be back. It's a well-known fact that controversial talk show hosts have recently been censored and even banned on the internet by corporate and political interests. Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero. And in order to counter the suppression of information, we've decided to create our own private digital playground called Aftermath. It's an exclusive online multimedia library featuring a social media platform, videos, audio clips, archive shows, research groups, documents, and a news aggregator. In addition, we're hosting other Ground Zero friendly podcasts like Conspirafact with Wes and Bill, Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, Terror Awareness with Mr. Gates and Isaac Weishaupt, Opposing Perspective with James Ponder, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray Valentine, and several more shows. Mobile apps for Android and Apple are available too. The monthly subscription for Aftermath is only $10 a month. And don't forget to check out the yearly specials, including the Friends and Family Pass with one main account and 3 sub-accounts. Sign up now by going to aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis. Live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific. But what happens when you miss an episode? Aftermath.fm is the official free streaming network of Ground Zero, featuring some of the top voices in paranormal and parapolitical radio and podcasts, such as The Leo Zagami Show, Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable, The Kev Baker Show, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray Valentine, and much, much more. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Aftermath.fm right now and get complete on-demand access to the Ground Zero archives, as well as the works of a dozen other hosts. Sign up right now and get complete access to our study groups, videos, and document archives, and connect with other listeners on our private social media network. Aftermath.fm, home of quality counterculture talk radio. Aftermath.fm.
On the phone with me is Ronnie from GetTheTea.com. Hey, Ronnie, it is the tea that makes you go, I know this because I use it. My favorite is pomegranate. What kind of flavors are there to choose from with this wonderful tea?
You can do pomegranate. You can do just the straight, which is real good. And also we have a mint, a peppermint. People really love that one too. And we have a couple new flavors on the way, which I will not discuss yet, but they're coming.
You know, a lot of people don't know that peppermint is a very, very good supplement to keep the stomach happy. It relaxes the intestines, and once again, it makes you feel better because it allows them to move around and get that stuff out of you, that bad stuff out of you.
Absolutely. This is a digest mover. So people have a hard time digesting stuff, or you get something stuck, or maybe you're a real heavy meat eater. The tea is wonderful. That's why it's taglined, the tea that makes you go.
If I want my life to change and get the tea, where do I go to get it?
GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea, TEA.com.
Fantastic. It's Channel Weird. I'm Clyde Lewis. Apolla, Asteria.com. Check it out. It's a great site, and you get to learn more about my guest today, Apolla Asteria. We're talking about, first of all, we talked about her shaman spears, which are amazing, and you can find them. They're, just looking at the concept and trying to understand, it's an amazing thing. So I want to go into quantum touch. The reason why is because I'm finding my quantum self these days. And what I mean by that is that a lot of things that I've been studying you know, give me insight as to why we have things like superposition and there's even the idea of quantum immortality. But you talk about quantum touch, and this sounds very deep, okay? And that's why I want to bring it up, because it's like, you know, you hear about all kinds of different ways that the body, you know, needs to be touched. I mean, even during the times of once again, we go back to the ancient prophets, we go back to even you know, Jesus and Shaman and others. They anointed people and touched them. They used oils and they used those types of things. And I think people forget the basics, and they tend to think that this is all crazy stuff. But the body needs anointments. The body needs touch. The body needs um, intimacy. And I think we're losing that intimacy because of COVID. I think the intimacy is a dying thing, even to the point of sexuality. I mean, we're losing our human, I guess you could call it, sexual nature. We're losing that. We're losing our nature of being just intimate and touching, holding hands, shaking hands, hugging. These types of things are going away. So a quantum touch would be something very deep and I'm sure very meaningful. Tell me about that in detail.
You know, I love what you just touched on there with, you know, just sexuality and how we're losing touch with these sides of ourselves at this time. And, you know, in relation to quantum touch, or relating that to quantum touch. So I would like to touch on that first. And, you know, a lot of people tend to confuse sexuality with just this lust idea instead of, you know, creative energy is what it really is. And, you know, I think a lot that's the problem in today's society. You know, obviously we have these things that are affecting younger people, like, and or people of all ages, like porn addiction, and, you know, there's all these different things that are coming in, especially the media much like not the right way, in my opinion, especially now with these days with music videos. And, you know, everyone knows what I'm talking about here. But, you know, I just think it's really interesting because this is definitely something that is coming up in today's society. And I think people tend to forget that sexuality, what it comes down to, and that energy is actually creative energy. And, you know, that's definitely a frequency I've always brought forward and in myself, and something that, you know, it's like I just feel that a lot of people don't understand. And I think we are definitely losing touch with that in today's society, and that needs to be come back and be looked at in a different way. It's either viewed wrong. So, you know, some people view it as wrong to be in touch with the sexual side of yourself, and then some people view it as, you know, in a different way, like, oh, this is like this lustful thing. And really it's you know, being a creator. And being a creator is so important, especially stepping into the age of Aquarius, which we are doing right now. This new energy that we're working with is a very much a co-creative energy. And, you know, it's all about our own personal connection with the divine and stepping into being our true divine beings, you know, what we originally are and were. So, you know, I think that being creative and being able to be in touch with the sexual creative side of yourself is so important, and shouldn't be something that should be looked at in a wrong way or suppressed in any way. So I'm really glad you brought that up. But
Well, I mean,
sorry, people are tuning.
well,
Sorry.
it's important because I've been reading statistics that are really unnerving, such as COVID has kept us from, well, one, I mean, Thanksgiving, 2/3 of Americans were polled, and they were told that they would not invite people who are unvaxxed to their Thanksgiving dinner. They'll think twice about hugging them or holding them. Couples are afraid, married couples, and also people who are not married, who are in relationships. They're afraid to become sexual with their partners. They don't even want to touch them. They sleep in separate beds. There are a lot of reasons why people sleep in separate beds. All these things are happening, and not only does this harm us in a psychological way, but it takes away our humanity. We're meant to be intimate, and you know, like you say, you know, when you talk about sexuality, people always think of penetration and all this other nonsense. But the reality is it's a matter of uh, touching someone and feeling their energy. It's an energy exchange. And and then when it gets deeper, we get deeper into sexuality, and that's when we get into sex and we get into other things. But the intimacy itself is lost. We have lost intimacy. We have lost that ability to, give someone a hug, or to give someone a handshake, or to just experience the companionship and human dignity. We're becoming more like machines. We're becoming more. That's why we have so much, I think, sexual dysfunction, and so many people not being identifying with what sex they are, or they do identify in different ways. And we get back to the ideas. Your sexual ideas are not, attached to the hardware; they're attached to the software in the head. And
Mhm.
so it's all psychological in a lot of ways. I mean, that's why you say people are addicted to porn, they're addicted to other things. We see in videos, people twerking and doing all that, and we think that's sexual. Yeah, it's sexual candy. It's the candy. But what we really need is we need nutrition. And
Mm.
so the touch is part of that nutrition, I think. I think that, all of the, the sexual stuff that we see in movies and stuff like that, that's all candy. But when we want to get deep into a relationship, or deep into what love and what full on, body intimacy is, that's why I'm thinking, when I think of quantum touch, when I think about what you say quantum touch is, I think it's beyond that of sexual. It's mental, it's psychological, it's metaphysical. Am I correct here, or am I off?
Yeah, like I said, I was raised by a quantum touch energy healer in the family, and several of my family members started it. I was basically taught it most of my life growing up, pretty much ever since I can remember. And I got, I did classes on it later, became certified, and I've been certified in other modalities since then. And I've kind of do my own method now, which isn't necessarily any modality, but I so what I learned my whole life, what my uncle always taught me, is that every disease starts on a vibrational level. So if you're vibrationally out of sync, this is going to manifest as a problem. And, a lot of people don't realize that how important these things are, like letting go of your childhood traumas, or working through, the resentment. Like resentment is a major one. People holding on to resentments that are from, things that happen in their family, or even sometimes these can carry over from other lives. And it's so important to do this inner work, because all these things, they manifest vibrationally, as I was saying. And but also, every human, we all have the ability to heal ourselves. And through quantum touch, we like to say not healing, but it's resolving, because you're not basically what you're doing with quantum touch. If you're working with someone else, you're just giving them extra energy so that they're able to heal themselves. That's really what it is. So it's basically channeling life force, chi, love energy. This has been called many different names in many different cultures. I believe the Hawaiians called it prana. In Star Wars, they call it the Force, but it's all the same thing. And basically, it's just the life force energy, the love energy of the universe. And if there's different way. I think some people can tend to be more in tune with it than others, but I think anyone can tap into it. And really, it's just working on building up the energy in yourself and giving it to someone else. There's different breathing techniques you can do with this. There's so many different modalities, because there's many different techniques and ways to do this, and it's whatever works best for you. There's breathing techniques, there's visualization techniques, and the mind is so powerful. I mean, like I was saying earlier, we're all essentially divine beings. We're all creators, and just working with your mind and manifest something visually, that already, whatever you're visually manifesting in your mind, whatever visual you have in your mind, is already 90% already created once you have that there.
Apolla,
That's without.
right?
Sorry.
We had to take a break. No problem.
Okay, sorry.
I'm hanging on every word here. Apolla Asteria with us right now on Channel Weird. We'll be back to hear more from her right here. Don't go away. On the phone with me is Ronnie from getthetea.com. Hey, Ronnie, it is the tea that makes you go, I know this because I use it. My favorite is pomegranate. What kind of flavors are there to choose from with this wonderful tea?
You can do pomegranate. You can do just the straight, which is real good. And also we have a mint, a peppermint. People really love that one too. And we have a couple new flavors on the way, which I will not discuss yet, but they're coming.
You know, a lot of people don't know that peppermint is a very, very good supplement to keep the stomach happy. It relaxes the intestines, and once again, it makes you feel better because it allows them to move around and get that stuff out of you, that bad stuff out of you.
Absolutely. This is a digest mover. So people have a hard time digesting stuff, or you get something stuck, or maybe you're a real heavy meat eater. The tea is wonderful. That's why it's tagline, the tea that makes you go.
If I want my life to change and get the tea, where do I go to get it?
Getthetea.com. That's getthetea, TEA.com.
Fantastic.
It's a well-known fact that controversial talk show hosts have recently been censored and even banned on the internet by corporate and political interests. Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero. And in order to counter the suppression of information, we've decided to create our own private digital playground called Aftermath. It's an exclusive online multimedia library featuring a social media platform, videos, audio clips, archive shows, research groups, documents, and a news aggregator. In addition, we're hosting other Ground Zero friendly podcasts like Conspirafact with Wes and Bill, Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, Pair Awareness with Mr. Gates and Isaac Weishaupt, Opposing Perspective with James Ponder, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray Valentine, and several more shows. Mobile apps for Android and Apple are available too. The monthly subscription for Aftermath is only $10 a month. And don't forget to check out the yearly specials, including the Friends and Family Pass with one main account and 3 sub-accounts. Sign up now by going to aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis, live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific. But what happens when you miss an episode? Aftermath.fm is the official free streaming network of Ground Zero, featuring some of the top voices in paranormal and parapolitical radio and podcasts, such as The Leo Zagami Show, Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable, The Kev Baker Show, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray Valentine, and much, much more. What are you waiting for? Head on over to aftermath.fm right now and get complete on-demand access to the Ground Zero archives, as well as the works of a dozen other hosts. Sign up right now and get complete access to our study groups, videos, and document archives, and connect with other listeners on our private social media network. Aftermath.fm, home of quality counterculture talk radio. Aftermath.fm.
Apolla, Asteria with us on Channel Weird. In fact, just put in a shameless plug. She has a show on Aftermath.fm, in case you were wondering. Fantastic show on that show, on that network. I'm being redundant. I don't know why. I mean, it's like more coffee, please. That's what we need to have. Anyway, Apolla's with us. Great to have her on. Talking about quantum touch, talking about the Shaman spears, talking about, gosh, there's so many things that she's involved with. Let's talk about, this is the final break. I want to talk about, some of the movies you're involved in, some of the stuff you've done acting wise, and tell us a little bit about the 432 hertz music that you produce.
Okay, so it's been so great to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me on. And
Sure.
yeah, I've kind of come to a point in the entertainment industry where I've had a little bit of a stop. Like earlier, we were talking about COVID and how it's affect everyone's lives over this past year. And, I've been a part of many projects over my career. As I said, I started when I was 12 years old. I started the entertainment industry as, getting signed with different agencies and getting my foot in the door. I probably, any TV show you can name, I've probably been on in some way or form. Like literally. But you know, I guess I can name some of my favorite projects. You know, I forget about a lot. There's so many things I've been a part of. But you know, a major one that I like to talk about a lot is I was on Star Trek on the first season of Star Trek Picard, the new series that just came out, and also I am going to be in the Hunt for QAnon with Reno 911, which was kind of strange. But they had me come on that, and you know, I guess you'll have to see what my role is in that. But that'll be coming out later this month. I've done actually another. I've been on another episode for 911, and that was a bachelorette party scene. I was like a bachelorette girl that gets out of a limo, and it's all drunk and wild. And you know, I just like pretty much every TV show you can name of, I've probably done something crazy on it. I'm a CGI into a James Bond video game. I'm a Russian double spy secret agent with a flogger. Barbed wire flogger is my weapon. Trying to think, man, I've just been in so many different things over the years. My biggest role was in VHS, which is a VHS, not VHS, but VHS, which was a movie that was produced by Tim Robbins and directed by his son. And I'm in it with some people from Reno 911, Susan Sarandon, many different characters. And I have a pretty funny role in that one. So that's pretty much the biggest role I've had so far in the industry. But you know, it's interesting because I was actually casted to be back on season 2 of Star Trek Picard, the you know, the newer one, the most recent one, and I went in to get my COVID test because now, you know, it's so weird with the industry. You have to get tested 5 times every time you go on set. Before you even go on, you still have to wear a mask. I don't have the jab, so I'm not able to work. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. And, you know, I'm trying to decide what to do with that. And so the 432 hertz frequency band. Oh, and also I forgot to mention a recent show I was on that you can see me very well in was it 911? The 911 is a show on Fox, not Reno 911.
One of my favorite shows, by the way. One of my
Oh,
favorite
really?
shows. I watch it every Monday.
So I think it's the very first episode of the new season.
Okay.
I'm on. It's the one you can see me very well on that one. So it's the one where the whole court case happens with the rape victims with the crazy guy. I believe it's the first episode.
That torments the police officer and basically kidnaps the kid. Yeah, that's
yeah. There's like the zoo animals in the beginning of the episode. Yeah. Okay, it's that one. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, and with the band, that actually fell apart at the beginning of COVID, which is kind of unfortunate. I'm not sure if that's going to be starting back up again. But we were actually 432 hertz frequency music group, the Siren, and I was the guitarist for that. Mm-hmm. And we would go around performing at conscious events. It was mostly an award-winning music group, actually, and we would always do like conscious events. We'd be a part of all the United We Stand Fest, Zeitgeist Media Fest. We performed all over. We usually played at Hard Rock in Vegas quite a bit, and many different awards shows we performed at. And unfortunately, and so you can see the music there at whatisthesiren.com. But we were actually basically in the works of being signed by this major label, and then COVID happened or started, and the group kind of fell apart with that. So I'm not sure if
that's going to be. I think that's going to be something that we're all going to say. COVID happened, and then COVID happened, and then that's my career right now. I was going to do this, but then COVID happened, and then COVID happened. So
yeah.
I think we're all in that paradigm right now. Pretty soon it'll be, let's hope that we can move on from that. I'm really pushing the idea that COVID's endemic, that we need to act like it's endemic rather than pretending like it's really scary. It is scary for some people, but not everybody. And this whole Omicron thing is a scary word too. And I was going to talk about that probably Monday, but it's just, everything's crazy right now. But you know what? I'm glad, Apolla, that you came on talking about your career, your life, and the shaman spears and everything else. So thank you so much for being on the program. It was amazing to see you again.
Thank you for having me on, Clyde. And for anyone who also, if you want to check out my spears, please go to shamanspears.com. I really appreciate being on tonight's show. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, have a great holiday too, and hopefully we'll hook up again in California. Be awesome.
You too, Clyde. Hopefully you can come on my show soon.
I'd love to. I'd really
awesome. I will make that happen.
All right, you take care. And
too.
thank you for joining us on Channel Weird today. We'll see you soon.